I bid you all good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. Tis I, Mike Martins. Guys, thanks so much for joining and being part of the transmission and making it what it is today. Thanks so much, guys. So now, guys, another housing article I need to cover here. And in Canada, it's coming out more. Okay. In the Commonwealth, Australia, you're not hearing too much about seniors, tapping into the reverse mortgages, which is happening. I know it's happening. Doing reverse mortgage, second, third mortgages, lines of credit on the house, whatever you want to call it. You don't hear too much about it in New Zealand, not that much in the UK, but in Canada, you're hearing about this left, right, center, up, down, front, and back. And I'm listening to what's happening in Ireland to California, around the pond there to Australia. I'm seeing more and more Canadians. Are Canadians in worse, dire straits? Are Canadians, is it that expensive in Canada in realistically in compared to other countries, English speaking countries? That's the question I wanted to ask, because the deal is that reverse mortgages, they're just surging in Canada. And more and more older people are just joining this damn debt wagons. And if you're like 55 or older, or 56 or older, I think it was, you could borrow as much as 55% of the value of your house. And homeowners basically need to pay their property taxes and insurance, keep that up to date, maintain the home in decent repair, keep it clean, organized, blah, blah, blah. But that sounds like an opportunity of a lifetime for the typical old guy, like on the side, thinking, but what if they outlive? What if, the number one question, an investor, not an investor, but financial person in finance, basically, financial advisor, Jesus Christ. Financial advisor that asks you, first thing they ask you is, okay, you plan to retire, how much do you want to, blah, blah. The number one question they ask you that makes all the sense is, how long do you expect to live after you retire? We can never answer that question. So a lot of people jump into these reverse mortgages. They're going up in Canada, and now here it is. Better dwelling, always on first base when it comes to getting this information out. By the time you start seeing other, what do you call those guys? Other journalists and stuff posting all kinds of stuff, and Better Dwelling's already at third base or home already, and they're just other journalists and stuff. I don't know how they're covering this housing or why they're keeping it such a big secret, because if Canadian seniors now owe almost $4 billion in reverse mortgage debt, I think this should be front and center on everything. This should be bigger than the coronavirus right now, because this is going to make a lot of people sick, a lot of people in depression, a lot of people in dire straits. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to get my words here straight together. So this is from today's date. Canadian seniors slowed their reverse mortgage borrowing, but the rates are still high. Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institution, OSFI, data showed that the balance of reverse mortgages debt hit a new high in November. Reverse mortgage debt has seen a growth explode over the past few years. Recently, things have begun to show some signs of stabilization, but a very high rate of growth. Reverse mortgage debt. Reverse mortgages are a way for seniors to tap into their home equity, often fill the retirement gap. Seniors secure a loan with the equity in their home and receive the money. So we know what this is. It's a HELOC. They borrow against the property. They put a lien on the property or an execution on the property, whatever, a lien, whatever the heck you want to call it. But my favorite is at 2 a.m, are you over 55? Do you own your home? Wouldn't you like to know what it feels like to be sailing on your own yacht? We could do this by basically tapping out. And so when we talk about business on the channel, and we're talking about stock buybacks and naked stock buybacks and naked shorts, and this is what happens when you shell out your house, when you take your house and make it an empty shell, because you've taken all the equity out of it and there's nothing left but an empty shell. And when you sell it, you'd be lucky to actually be in par with what you borrowed, right? Canadian reverse mortgage debt reaches nearly $4 billion. Uprisingly, reverse mortgage debt pushed to an all-new time record. The balance outstanding hit 3.98 billion in November, 1.5% from the month before. That's a lot, guys, in Canada. We only got 30 million people, 35 million people, or, and how many of those are at that age? There's quite a bit, actually, right? Our birth rate for the Canadian proper is nothing. Canada's depending on birth tourism to keep our birth rate high. This represented an increase of 14.09% from the same month last year. Reverse mortgage debt printed a new all-time high and is still showing big growth. There it is. This is what's building our GDP. This is what's building our economy. It's debt. And I said it before with Steve the Plumber on the show and other people on the show. Listen, guys, we used to be a wealth-building nation. We used to build wealth. We used to put money in the bank and get 4.5%. Remember ING Direct? Save your money. We used to make money off our money. Now our money's completely useless. We've completely devaluized it that the banks don't even want money. That's like so useless. It has no value. So what are they after? Properties. So here it is. The pace of growth has been slowing for the past few months, but it's still very high. The rate is half of where it was since last year. It's also the lowest 12-month rate reported since February 2016. For a little context, the balance of reverse mortgages debt is rising 3 times the speed of traditional mortgages. It's slower than last year's breakneck speed. So, you know why? Because the banks are just throwing money at people anymore. That's why. But still, the high growth segment worth a note is some banks report partial, yeah, they do. Partial numbers for those 2 recent months reported, so this could be revised higher by the end of February. Here's the Canadian reverse mortgage debt change. So there's the debt change, and then here we go. Look at them at the beginning of 2019, a tail end of 2018 to the beginning of 2019. They just took out everything they can. Why? Because property prices are dropping. People forgot about that. Property prices don't go up forever like tulip bulbs did. Reverse mortgage debt is slow in growth, but it's still at a very high rate. This is the lowest 12-month rate in over 3 years. But in the context of other credit segments, it's high growth. The trend is most likely to continue with Canada's aging population. Guys, you know how fast 20 years goes by. You know how fast 10 years goes by. You guys know. People watching this channel know how fast a decade flies by. You guys know. It's not going to be much more time. In 10 years, I'm going to be 50. I'm going to be turning 52 in 10 years. I'm turning 42. In 10 years, I'm going to be turning 52. You see what I'm saying? It's a blink of an eye. I mean, if you don't stop, what was that on Ferris Bueller's Day Off? If you don't stop and smell the flowers once in a while, life will pass you by like a rocket, or pass you by like a. But he made sense of that. If you don't stop and smell the flowers once in a while, life will pass you by like nothing. It just keeps going. Time waits for nobody. So, like was Socrates used to say, man is like sand through the hands of time. Yeah, guys, we're all headed towards this direction, and people that are borrowing on their homes, using their homes as ATM machines, and basically taking what they can, thinking that they're on their last leg and they're ready to go. No, don't ever think that, because the first thing a financial advisor or financial planner, whatever, asks you, I don't know why I couldn't get that name out of my mind, but anyways, a financial planner, first thing they're going to ask you, how long do you expect to live after you retire? We don't know, guys, and we never will. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Canadian seniors now owe almost $4 billion in reverse mortgage debt. Thanks, guys, for supporting the transmission and following and being part of the channel. Thank you so much.